Hey everyone, welcome to the very first chapter of YouNancial. My name is Kate, and I'll be walking you guys through the very first chapter. So, our first chapter is called What is Finance? And before we go into the details, since this is our very first lesson, I just want to give a brief introduction of who I am. So, my name is Kate Beret. I am a corporate accounting and finance student. I am a senior at San Jose State University, and my role here at UNancial is that I am the director of the product development team here. So, some of the things that I do is that I manage weekly sub team meetings, and this is so that we can double check on our work, see our progress, and give feedback. I love collecting plushies, I love playing Animal Crossing, and I really love listening to music. And my favorite artists are Ariana Grande and Little Mix. And with that, I'll be heading to chapter one. So, what is our learning objective? Our objective for this chapter is that we want students to learn the importance of finance by teaching them the relevance of meeting their future financial needs. So, the very first topic is the importance of finance. So, what exactly is finance? Well, the definition of finance is that it involves the management of money and the process of acquiring funds. So we receive money in different ways. Some of us work to get our money, some of us get an allowance from our parents. And with that money, it is very important that we manage it and spend it wisely. So you guys might be wondering, why why should we learn finance? Like why is it so important? Well, truth is that finance is involved in a lot of the things that we do. So this is just a personal story of mine, but back in high school, I was having a conversation with one of my older cousins who was in college, and he was telling me how you don't really know the importance of money until you get into college. And I didn't really understand what he meant at the time, but I did eventually. So back in high school, I would usually spend money on food and going out with friends. And when I got into college, when I started living on my own with roommates and away from the family home, that was when I started paying for rent, for utilities, for groceries, and I had a lot of financial responsibility. So at that point, that was when I realized, wow, like budgeting your money, knowing how to do that properly, that's very important. So the sooner you learn about finance, the better position you'll be in financially. And being financially literate early on will allow you to make better decisions in the future and prevent things that you don't want to happen. And even if you're on the older side, it's never too late to learn about finance and take control of your money. So, what can finance be applied to? Well, finance can be applied to describe the following activities such as banking, leverage or debt, credit, capital markets, money, and investments. So, in the next couple of slides, I'll be going over what these terms mean, but since this is only the first chapter, I'll be pretty brief at explaining them, and in the future units, I'll be going over them in more detail. So, what is banking exactly? Well, a bank is technically a financial institution that collects deposits and makes loans. And a bank offers a lot of services, such as opening a checking account, opening a savings account, helping you invest, and refinance. Again, I know you guys have a lot of questions like what's a checking account? What's a savings account? What is refinancing? Well, more of that will be covered in Unit 3, so stay tuned. What is leverage or debt? Well, leverage or debt is the amount of borrowed funds that are used to help a firm fund certain projects or investments. So sometimes some companies they want to invest in like a project. So what they would do is that if they don't really have the funds yet, they would just borrow money and then use that money to fund their projects. And with the money they earn from that, they can pay off the debt that they borrowed. Credit. So, what exactly is credit? Well, credit is an agreement between a borrower and a lender where the borrower is given funds from the lender, and the borrower must pay back the lender back the money borrowed with interest on a future date. So, some of you guys might have heard of a credit card. Well, it pretty much functions like this. So, you use your credit card, you're given a credit limit, and you can use your credit card. Let's say like if you're going out for groceries or buying some things, and it's very important that you pay that money back. And the reason why some people use credit cards is so that they can build on their credit score and show the lender that they are very trustworthy and that they can pay back things on time. So again, credit will be covered in a future unit, so don't worry if I didn't really cover a lot at this moment. Capital markets. So, what are capital markets? Well, technically, capital is a term that is used to describe the financial assets one owns. And capital markets are places where suppliers and users come together to move capital from suppliers to users who are in need of that capital. So, for instance, if a firm really needs some financial assets or capitals to help them fund a project, let's say, they can go to like a capital market and meet up with with suppliers so they can get those funds for their project. Money, well, I'm pretty sure money is straightforward, but money is a medium of exchange, and money can be dollar bills, coins, and things like that. What are investments? Well, investments are a financial asset that's acquired with the expectation that will generate higher income or be sold at a higher profit later in the future. So, whenever you are investing in something, let's say you invest in a certificate of deposit, for instance, you're investing in that because you believe that at a later date you'll generate more money. So, that's why people want to invest. And the big term, financial literacy. This is what YouNancial is all about. And financial literacy is the education and understanding of various financial areas, including topics related to managing personal finance, money, borrowing, and investing. So, with this course, our goal is to teach you guys basic financial concepts. And with those resources, you guys would be able to be well educated and make good financial decisions. In this course, it's not our job to tell you guys exactly what to do with your money, but we are hoping that we give you these resources so you can make that decision on your own. Okay, second topic is the finance field. So the finance field is broken into three parts, which is personal finance, corporate finance, and public finance. Well, we'll be more focused on personal finance because personal finance is what Financial is all about, but I'll cover what corporate and public finance is briefly. Personal finance. So, what exactly is personal finance? Well, personal finance is dependent on income, living requirements, goals, and therefore varies from person to person, and includes the purchasing of financial products such as credit cards, insurance, mortgages, and investments. So, again, kind of backtracking to what I said before about financial literacy, our goal for YouNancial is to teach you guys basic financial concepts and give you guys those basic resources. And the reason why we can't tell you exactly what to do is that, again, personal finance varies from person to person. So it very much depends on what you want and what your goals are. So hopefully, with this course, we give you those resources and you can be well educated to make good financial decisions for yourselves. Corporate finance. So, corporate finance involves how corporations deal with funding sources, capital structuring, and investment decisions. Corporate finance, since I'm a corporate accounting and finance major, I kind of understand what corporate finance is. It's very specific to business majors, so you don't really need to worry too much about corporate finance. Just know that the goal of corporate finance is that with the money they have, they need to figure out what projects they should invest in so that they can generate return and make those investments worthwhile. And lastly is public finance. So public finance assesses government revenue and the expenditure of public authorities. So again, this focuses more on the government and how they use their money and allocate their funding. Okay, now we are in the three personas, which is our third topic for this chapter. Okay, so what exactly are the three personas? Well, the three personas are a very core part of our course. We have three personas that represent each of the three major socioeconomic classes, which is the low, middle, and high class. And the reason why we have these personas is to compare and contrast different financial situations and what each person in these different economic classes would most likely do based on their unique lifestyles. So, our very first persona is Jessica Lopez, and she will be representing the middle class. So, a few things about Jessica is that she's female, she's 20 years old, she's Mexican American, she lives in the Bay Area, and that she's a fourth year student at San Jose State University. She works part time as a family assistant and makes about less than $15,000 annually. And she comes from a divorced family and has step parents, and she really loves pets. She grew up with dogs and now has two cats. So Jessica's parents' occupations, her mother is a housekeeper and her father is a construction worker. Her mother and father both make $80,000 and $90,000 respectively without taxes. And again, she is part of the middle class. And some of the things that Jessica likes to do is to work out, play games, watch TV shows, garden, and hang out with her family and pets. And some of her career goals include graduating college and hopefully getting to a really good finance rotational program. And she also wants to become a homeowner in the Bay Area and own a porch. Our second persona here is Nikhil Patel. Nikhil is going to represent the low class. So, some things about Nikhil: he is male, he's 19 years old, he's Indian, he speaks Hindi and English, and he lives in Central California, specifically in Fresno. He used to attend college at Fresno State, but unfortunately, because he could no longer afford going to college, he had to drop out. And he currently is a part time retail worker at Umart, and he makes about $11,000 a year. He has a really large family. He has two parents and four siblings, and unfortunately, his parents are unable to work due to their health problems. So Nikhil and his siblings are the only ones making money in the family. So with Nikhil's siblings, his three eldest brothers are furniture warehouse movers, and his older sister is a cashier at Wingstop. And each of the siblings makes about $15,000 a year. And unfortunately, since Nikhil can't afford a dog, he doesn't have a pet, but he would really love a puppy in the future. And some of his hobbies include playing video games, playing badminton, and cooking. And his career goals to basically, he would love to return to college to pursue his electrical engineering degree, and he would love to get his family out of poverty. Our last persona here is Karen Williams, and Karen Williams is going to represent the high class. So, a few things about Karen Williams is that she's female, she's 17 years old, she's white, she's living in Malibu in Southern California. She is currently a student at Malibu High School, and she used to work previously at a frozen yogurt shop. So, she doesn't really have salary at the moment, but at the time she earned $17 an hour, and she has a weekly allowance from her family, which is $250 a week. And some things about Karen Williams' family is that she has two parents and four siblings as well, similar to Nikhil. And she has a French bulldog. Her parents' occupations are is that her mom is an anesthesiologist and her dad is a software engineer, and they both make $267,000 and $200,000 respectively. Her siblings work in very respectable fields such as being a lawyer, being a civil engineer, being a pharmacist, and a consultant. And her siblings' salaries range from $80,000 to $130,000. And some of her hobbies include shopping, going to concerts, traveling, and doing yoga to relax herself. And her lifetime goal is to work in the medical field just like her mother. So, again, the reason why we have these three personas is because we want to compare and contrast different financial situations. So, our very first question here that I have for you guys is, let's say that Karen receives an allowance and lives with her parents, and we know that Jessica works part time and pays for her rent. Looking at their financial backgrounds, do Karen and Jessica have similar financial responsibilities? I'll give you guys a moment to think about that. Feel free to pause the video. So, do Karen and Jessica have similar financial responsibilities? Well, the answer to that is no. Jessica, she's a college student, she's working part time, and she's paying for her own rent. So she has a lot of more adult like responsibilities, whereas Karen is still living with her family as a high school student, and her parents give her an allowance, but Karen is still responsible for managing her money. So because Karen and Jessica have different goals at different situations and different ways of earning their income, they have different financial responsibilities, and it's up to both of them to manage their money wisely. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for you today for chapter 1.1. I really hope that this introduction was really helpful, and I will see you guys in a future video. Bye bye.